Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Halton Hills housing update. So we had a bit of a weird week last week. Sales were not that high and inventory's up. I think sales were super low and we're gonna see a high number next week because there was a lot of offer nights last night and tonight. So I think we'll have high sales next week, but still really interesting to feel this little shift. So in Georgetown, we only had 17 properties sell, which is pretty low compared to the mid 20 to 30 that we were seeing. Only 11 sold over asking. And I know that sounds funny to say only 11, but we were seeing almost all of them sell over asking most weeks. So a little bit of a change there, which is nice to see. There was 27 new listings this week in Georgetown, which is a pretty high number. Hasn't been that high the last few weeks. So hopefully with this nice weather, people are flipping their houses on now that their gardens and stuff are looking good. So I'm really hoping that the trend of new listings can outpace sales for a couple more weeks. We really still need a lot of relief in the market. In Acton this week, we only had 2 sales, which is the lowest number since like the start of March. We were seeing some very big weeks in Acton. It could have something to do with the offer night setup that I was talking about, but to see that low of sales is kind of surprising. Both of them sold over asking, but yeah, not a huge week in Acton. There was 8 new listings, so thankfully inventory is up in Acton this week. In Glen Williams, 2 properties sold. Both of them sold well over asking because they were pretty good listings. And there was 2 new listings in Glen Williams. So inventory will be the same this week. And in Limehouse, there was no sales and 1 new listing. In the rural market last week, we only had 1 sale. It's been pretty slow there, which is different. I mean, the sale was huge. I think it was like 450 or 500,000 over asking. But yeah, we saw last week no sales and only 1 sale this week. So I said we would closely be watching that based on the fact that if town inventory goes up, rural can slow down. So we'll be watching that. And there was 4 new listings in the rural market this week. So looking at overall inventory, yay, we are back up over 100. We have 103 active listings. 6 are sitting in the sold conditional status, which is quite a bit in the sold conditional. I mean, not a lot of people are getting conditions accepted right now. So to have 6 properties sold conditional is another indicator that things are a little bit different than they were. In Georgetown this week, inventory is up significantly-ish to 54 active listings. I mean, we were at 45 last week, but it is nice to be in that 50 plus range. Anything below that, there's like literally no options, so that's good. Looking at our price points, under 700,000 is down slightly this week to 6 active listings. No surprise that price point is constantly up and down because you can't find enough properties under 700,000 anymore. 7 to 800,000 is up to 8 active listings from 6. 800 to $1 million is up to 15 active listings. We are still seeing a lot of movement in that price point, but we're definitely seeing less stuff going into the million than we were. Like before, if you listed between 800 and $1 million, you were getting over $1 million, like for sure. And now things are selling and cooling off a bit. Like it's still crazy, but we're seeing a lot less sales reported, like over that $1 million in that pocket. So good news for the $1 million plus buyers. We are up to 25 active listings. That is the highest number I can remember in a very long time. That price point, if anything good is coming up, it honestly is getting sold very, very quickly. But there's a lot of stuff that I'm guessing it's just overpriced. People are trying to fetch big numbers for some of those things. But there's a lot sort of sitting in that price range now, and anything good is still transacting really quickly. But overall, good news to see 25 plus. And having that number higher is definitely going to impact rural sales. They kind of like go hand in hand. When we see high inventory numbers in $1 million plus, our rural is usually a bit quieter because they're similar price points. But people tend to look in town first, and if they can't find anything, then they sort of branch out to rural. So we'll be watching that, but definitely the highest number, I don't know, we were down to like 7 at one point. It's our highest number since November the 10th. So good news for those buyers. So now looking at Acton, big jump this week in Acton. We are up to 15 active listings. There's a lot of stuff in Acton sitting in the price change status. So I don't know if people were trying to fetch big numbers there and it just didn't work, but lots of stuff has had price reductions there. And so a lot of choices in Acton. I anticipate in the coming weeks, we'll see our sales jump right back up there. In Glen Williams, will remain the same at 3 active listings. They start at 1.7 million, so you need a lot of money to be buying in the Glen this week. Limehouse is up to 6 active listings, and the rural market, we had a bunch of properties terminate in the rural market last week. So even though we had a lot of new listings, inventory remains the same at 24 active listings. So this was kind of a weird week. We were seeing inventory drop again and sales were spiking, but this week inventory's up and sales are down. So I still think it is super busy out there. I have tons of clients that lost bidding wars last week. It's still very busy. Had a lot of offers on one of my higher price point listings. Like, it's still very much active out there. I do think we have those listings that are trying to fetch a premium for even coming on the market right now, and those aren't transacting, but anything priced well and showing well is still moving. I foresee next week we will have a very high sales week. Maybe I'm wrong, but there's just a lot of good stuff that I think is going to get purchased this week. So I'll be back next Tuesday. I think with this beautiful weather, we will see some listings coming on the market because people love getting their homes on once their gardens and their pools look good. But I mean, the buyers are still here and we are far from satisfying them. I mean, we'll see what happens next Tuesday. I anticipate high sales. Inventory probably is going to drop again if those sales are super high. So let's see. I'll see you next Tuesday. Have a great week, everyone.